Thank you for the rose. How y'all feeling? How you feeling? Let me know where you watching from. Come in the room. Come in the room. Welcome to the Hood to Hooded podcast. Uh-oh, I gotta do my sound check. Yes. AFG, thank you for showing so much love. Sing a song. I can't sing a song right now. What's going on, y'all? Welcome. How y'all feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling? Man, consistency is not easy, guys. Consistency is not easy. Now, if this is your first time catching me live, my name is Dr. Chiefess Sunflower, aka Dr. Shauna, motivational dentist. What's going on, y'all? Listen, if you don't know, I am on a 365-day consistency challenge where I have to show up live every day. And today, I'm on like 50-something days. I stopped counting because I just need to do it, right? But today, I almost fell. Because I'm not feeling my best. My shoulder is bothering me. I could go on and on. It's Friday. I ain't want to go live. I got a lot of excuses, technical difficulties, but I still show up because why? Consistency is not easy. If you've been following the Hood to Hooded podcast, then you know that this page is about positivity, inspiration, and knowledge to keep you motivated and growing. So make sure you are tapping all the buttons, tapping the hearts, helping us reach our goals to find more like-minded people who want to grow and join the tribe. So the reason why I'm talking about this today is because I almost failed. I'm 50-something days deep into this challenge and I almost failed. And I know someone out there needs this inspiration right now. You might be like, you know what? I've been doing so good and I'm a little burnt out. I'm a little tired, but I gotta keep going. That's me today. Showing up to chill with y'all. I don't really have a topic. I was just like, I can't fail. And that's the energy that we giving off right now. Whatever season you are in your life, just know that you can't fail. You won't fail. You know. So that's how I'm feeling right now. Can we be honest or not? So I'm going to need y'all to come into the chat. Let me know how you feeling. Let me know where you watching. Ask me some questions. You know, turn the chat up. Today is normally our financial literacy day. So I will be talking a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about Sarah Rector. And I also want to touch a little bit about this 50-year mortgage I keep seeing the government pushing out. I don't think it's a good idea. If you listening, come in the chat and let me know how you feel about about that topic, the 50-year mortgage. It sounds like permanent rent. Like you being stuck paying something and for 50 years? Like, who want to do that? Who wants to do that? I know I don't. So, let's dig into it. So, I'm going to give y'all a couple minutes to come in the room. What up, what up, what up? Brand just got a #1 Gifter badge. What's up, Brand? Y'all tap those hearts, tap those hearts. Use those spirit fingers. You know, spirit fingers on the screen. Alright. So, my My sound is good. Technology is good. I think we about to dive into this little topic. It ain't really a hot topic like that, but it is a topic because I did go and see the movie Sarah's Oil this week. Now, this is a movie I feel like all the Niji need to go out and see. OCO to the Niji out here, by the way. Sending love to the ancestors, by the way. Let's not forget that part. That part. That part, okay? So, imagine... we finna get into it. Let me just get a sip of the... I'm drinking on some hot apple cider. You know, just to give me a little light little sweetness so that I feel rewarded for sticking with consistency. Alright. I titled this Consistency Isn't Easy because these are the days you show up the most when it's really not easy for you. This is when you get true results, when you push through on the day when you almost fail. This is the day where it get a little easy for you. So I'm learning something in this moment by showing up in a moment when I don't want to show up because I want to be consistent and I know it's a muscle. It's something that you have to consistently, I'm using the word that I'm trying to describe. It's something that you must stay on top of if you want to keep moving towards your goals. So if I know my goal is to be this streamer, then I gotta stream, right? Even when you don't feel like it, sometimes you have to. And that's the whole reason why 365 days of doing something, it has no choice but to be a habit. I have no choice but to learn more about this skill that I know a lot of people lack, including myself. If we being there is different than not. What's up, Foreign Black? Yes, being here and showing up is different than not showing up. So that's the most important thing. So I'm just proud for just showing up, pushing through, because these are the days where it truly counts. You know? So we gonna get into the topic of the night, which is Sarah Rector. Imagine being 11 years old, labeled as the richest so-called black. We know she was Indian, a Mary Indian, copper tone, right? So she was the richest melanated girl in America at 11 years old, and still having white guardians trying to control your money, your land, and your life. Today we're talking about Sarah Rector, oil money, and why our people still getting offered deals that sound like help but smell like permanent debt. Like this new 50-year mortgage talk that I keep seeing coming across my desk. We're gonna get into it, so grab your you might want to take some notes. You might be trying to get a 50-year mortgage. You need to take notes, because we're not doing that. We're not doing that. What's up, chat? Thank you for the hearts. If you're watching on TikTok. Alright, so who was Sarah Rector? Do y'all know who Sarah Rector is? Have you heard of that name? Sarah Rector. She was a Muskogee Creek freeman, descendant of whose land they thought to be trash. So she got 160 acres of land because she was the descendants of Muskogee Creek Indians. This is in history, by the way. Okay, the land she got in this story, and she has a movie out right now that's not really getting any publicity like it should be, because it's about us being Indian, and they're not really trying to push that. But the movie is inspiring as hell. Y'all gotta go see it. Go take the kids to see it. Dr. Sean stamped and approved. Dr. Chief did stamp and approve. You don't want to miss this movie. I'm telling you. Alright? So she got 160 acres of land that turned out to be a oil-rich property. It made her a millionaire, a multi-millionaire by the time she was 18 years old. Okay? a multi-millionaire. So today we talking about assets, land, literacy, and the traps that you can be placed into by the government, by white supremacy, by all types of generational curses, I'll call them, that are meant to set you back and not really give you freedom. It just looks like freedom in disguise. Alright, so this new 50-year mortgage proposal in the U.S. with longer loans, slightly lower payments, but way more interest and slower equity sounds like a bad idea. But we're going to take notes from Sarah Rector, who was just a genius. Like in this movie, she was good at math, she was good at negotiating, she didn't take no shit. Let's just keep it real. She didn't take no shit. She was only 11. She was smarter than everybody around her. No matter what color they was, she was smart as hell. So let's go through her story and see who was Sarah Rector and her background. So she was born in 1902 near Taft, Oklahoma, which was then Indian Territory and part of Muskogee Creek Nation's freedmen community. Okay? Under the Treaty of 1866 and the allotment system, Black Creek freedmen children got land parcels. It was usually rocky, inferior land while the better land went to the white settlers. So they stole the land, gave the Creek freedmen who fought for their land, their children, they got land that they thought was worth nothing. They gave it to them because they thought it was worthless, because they had to give them something. So Sarah's 160 acres were valued extremely low and taxed yearly. In the movie, they set the tax around $30 a year. Her father begged the court to let him sell it because the taxes were a burden to him. And this is how we lost a lot of our land back in the day, because people didn't understand that land is the true value. That's why we don't have a lot of land now, and you have so many people paying rent in the tribe. Thank you for reposting, Toya. So Sarah Rector's father tried to sell her 160 acres because he couldn't pay the $30 a year taxes, which, you know, taxes is something new brought on by the settlers just to try to take the land. And it's the same way now. You can buy a house and think you own it, and guess what? If you don't pay those taxes, they take your land. America is the only place where it's kind of like that. It might be like that in some other countries, but I don't know what you're trying to say in the chat. I'm not saying that because I don't know why I'm going to say that. But they did this to take the land back then, and they do this to take the land now. Now, to survive, her father leased the land to the oil company in 1911. In 1913, a driller hit a major driller that they had from one of the oil companies hit a major oil well. Okay, a gusher pumping around 2,500 barrels of oil in a day off of Sarah Rector's land. This was the land that they thought wasn't worth anything. Okay, Sarah's share was about $300 a day back then. In today's economy, that will be about $8,000 per day at 11 years old. Now, in this movie, I'm not going to tell y'all all the things that they did to try to take her land, but they was unaliving children to steal the land, you know, falsifying records. Nothing is new when we talking about the government. The government really ain't civil at all. The government really is about theft, crooked enterprise, supremacy, lying, pseudo-history. They're about all the things that you think is good. Just think of it as the opposite. Now, Pastor Troy had a song back in the day, what if heaven was hell and vice versa? Think about that when it comes to the government. Everything you think that is good about the government is actually the opposite. So get that out of your head when you like, oh my God, the government. No, 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 no. The government is all bad. But we ain't talking about that right now. We talking about Sarah Rector. So back then, they had an issue with guardianship and racism. They used to take the guardianship from the parents, even if it was a two-parent household, and they had to have a white guardian. The melanated Indian children back then had to have a white guardian. And what the white guardian would do, and you would see in the movie, is sell the land from under the needy child. Alright? So Oklahoma law forced wealthy indigenous and melanated children to have respectable white guardians. Yes, to manage their money. A white acquaintance, T.J. Porter, was appointed over Sarah's estate. She didn't want him to be over her estate because she was smarter than him, honestly. But the law back then didn't make any sense, and they did these type of things to, like I said, steal the land. Rumors spread that Sarah was being exploited by this white guardian. He had plans to sell her land. Black newspapers and leaders like Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, all got involved pushing to protect her assets and conditions. Okay? So the community saved her. That's crazy, dog. I don't really care. MQVN just got the #1 gift their badge. Alright? So by 18, Sarah Rector was a millionaire. And Rockefeller, she met Rockefeller. He bought rights to her land for $35 million back then. So she became this multi, millionaire. And that's her story. Got an eye for it. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the roses. Tap those hearts, guys. And if you joining me live, if you know about the Daily Heart Me, you can grab your Daily Heart Me if you watch it on TikTok. The orange heart right there. So Sarah Rector, by the time she was 18, she was a millionaire, owning oil interests, 2,000 acres of prime farmland. So she went from owning 160 acres to 2,000 acres of prime farmland, stocks, bonds, businesses, and a large house in Kansas City. So I feel like she's the perfect person for our Financial Freedom Friday, because she was just a minor but had the intelligence of someone well wise before her years. She lived well, hosted artists and leaders, but like many, lost much of her wealth in the Great Depression. Yet she stayed solvent and comfortable. So I really think we need to put a spotlight on Sarah Rector today. Her story is a mashup of birthright, luck, and literacy. The land was a birthright, the oil was luck, and then the fight over guardianship is what happens when you don't control literacy and the law around your money. So we got to really pay attention to her story, show this story to the youth. Make sure y'all go check it out in the movies. I promise you, you will be inspired. And you can see crookedness in the movie, so you can kind of see how we lost the land. All the things that they were doing. They were willing to unalive children. They were willing to come in the middle of the night and just do criminal activities to steal the land. And it shows it in this movie. So you can imagine 200, 300, 400 years ago what was going on back then. And these are the stories we got to keep alive, keep telling, because we were geniuses. Sarah Rector, she was that deal. You gotta know her name. We gotta hype her up. So what financial literacy lessons can we take from Sarah Rector? Alright? So #1 is land and resources are not worthless. So many people get in a bind and they feel like the land is worthless. Do you understand what land is? When we play the game of Monopoly, it's about owning the block. So in our mind, we need to be trying to own the block, own the land, own something. Renting is over with. And I'm not talking about no 50-year mortgage. We're going to talk about that too. So don't be that desperate to the point where you still getting tricked into giving all your time away for, just saying you own something. You got to be smart with it. So land and resources are not worthless. Even the rocky useless land that they thought they gave Sarah Rector became oil wealth. What lesson do we take from that? Don't chase shiny objects. Understand what's beneath your feet. You might have minerals, water rights, zoning, future development. Know what you have and appreciate it. And if you got an opportunity to own some land, do it. Or if you have land in your family, don't sell it. Number 2, guardianship versus ownership. The state trusted white guardians back then in the early 1900s than they did Sarah's own parents. They tried to gatekeep her wealth, much like they try to do now, and like it's always been in this country, trying to gatekeep wealth. I just heard about the stories yesterday about them removing nursing from the list of professions. And a lot of us believe that's because of racism, because a lot of melanated women have been known to be in the nursing field in the past and still are heavily in this field, making money, travel nursing, and now they do this so that they can take away the funding. So this year has been all about the government and how they distributing their funding and how they trying to rip off the public, in my eyes. Right? So how does this translate to today when they made the white guardians in charge of the melanated children's wealth instead of trusting it to their own parents? That was another white supremacy issue. So this creates predatory advisors, like the men trying to sell her land underneath him. They could put in fine print, people who want to manage our money but don't care about our community. That's just like having a lot of stores, liquor stores, hair stores, nail salons in our community, in the hood, that we don't own, but we give all our money to them. This is predatory activity, right? Why is it predatory activity? Because they don't trust us to have our own businesses in our own communities. They rather give the loans to immigrants than the people who actually in the community who are going to give back to the community. So we have to support our own. If you see someone in your community look like you, opening up a business, support them. I promise you they need it. I promise you it's going to be 100 times harder for them to succeed. I was having a conversation with someone about my dental practice, and I had to tell them the truth. I was like, listen, sir, it's going to be 100 times harder for me as a melanated, copper tone, indigenous, autochthonous, Niji to make my dental practice thrive. Just simply because of the color of my skin. Because of the country that I'm in. Skin color makes people make decisions, right? So I have to prove to myself, to my patients, 10 to 20 times harder that I'm qualified, overqualified. Is it fair? No, but this is the country that we live in, right? This is the country that we live in. So if someone can sign for your money, read your money, or calculate for your money, they can control your money. Literacy is your guardianship. I will never forget Oprah Winfrey. Now, out of all the things that Oprah says, and she has a lot of wisdom, one of the things that she says is sign your own checks. Because if you sign your own checks, you know what's going on, and you're not allowing people to sign your checks. So when people so-called sell their soul, they give away a part of who they are for money, and now someone kind of controls their time. And it gets deep. Okay? So multiple streams and risk. With Sarah Rector, her oil wealth was in oil royalties. She knew about royalties back then. She was like, yeah, you can use my land, but I'm going to need those royalties about your ass. So you never want to give away your craft, your creativity, just give it away and make a blank sale. No. You got to be like, hey, what share am I going to be getting this, at the end of the day? So my family and my family's family and my grandkids and my empire can eat, and I'm not just selling myself short. Her wealth was also in land. She went from 160 acres to 2,000 acres. Take notes, family. Her wealth was in stocks and bonds. It's so easy now to get into the stock market with Robinhood, Acorn, Venmo, Webull. So many apps that you can get into stocks and bonds, and instead of spending money every week buying luxury designer clothes and stupid shit, you could be investing in the stock market trying to grow the money. And the last thing that her money was invested in was businesses and a boarding house. I'm talking about Sarah Rector. So even with the Great Depression hitting, she stayed afloat and was able to keep some of her wealth. So don't just have a job. The message is, don't just have a job. Don't just work your job. Be trying to think about, how can I invest in land, in business? What skills do I need? See, for me, I'm working on my consistency, right? That's why I'm showing up here now. That's why you show up even when you don't feel like it, because that's the skill. So we're working on our consistency right now. You can have digital products, retirement accounts, but you need something other than just your job. Now, you might not be as lucky as Sarah Rector, but I'm sure luck will enter your life in some way or fashion if you set yourself up for the luck to come into your life. How do you set yourself up for luck? They ask. Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how you set yourself up for luck. The first thing is to speak positive affirmations. So when you speak positivity, your words, they attract positivity to you. What else? How do you attract good luck? When you put out positive information, knowledge, you try to help other people, it comes back to you. That's called good karma. How else do you set yourself up for good luck? This means that you know what you want, you're intentional with your goals, you kind of see yourself already having it and claiming it before it happens. That's why people plant seeds, because why? Why do people plant seeds? Because they know what the seed is, right? But they can't just say, okay, well, I know what this seed is. This seed produces, let's say, squash. But if we don't plant the seed, we don't water the seed, we don't cover it with the dirt, it doesn't get the proper nutrients, the nitrogen, the oxygen, all these different things. It doesn't get the sunlight. If it doesn't get the proper process for it to grow, it's not going to grow. The same with your dreams and you setting yourself up for greatness to enter your life. You got to do the process. You can't just have the seed talking about it's a mustard seed and you ain't doing the mustard seed work. You just sitting here hoping and wishing instead of taking action. So when you take action, it aligns up with your goals a lot better, right? And the fourth thing that Sarah Rector taught us today was generational wealth and protection. So we need to look into wills and trust and teaching our kids about money very, very early on in their life. I wasn't so fortunate to learn about money, financial literacy as a child, so it did have a detrimental impact on my life, but you can always learn from everything you go through. You just don't need to stay there and keep making excuses like, oh, well, I didn't have this in my childhood, so I'm going to stay stuck like a tree. You're not a tree, so move. All right? Documenting land, titles, and business ownership. Make sure you put it on paper. Because if it's not written down, guess what? It did not happen. Don't trust people's words. Write it down. So drop a key emoji in the chat if nobody in your family ever sat down and explained a mortgage, interest rates, or a land deed to you. We're changing that tonight. All right? So let's change it, starting with our next topic. Let me get a sip of this apple cider. So tasty. All right. So let's talk about mortgage basics before we talk about 50 years of a mortgage, which is ludicrous. So let's come from the oil wells in the 1910 to the mortgages in 2025. It's a different century, same fight over who benefits from your payments. So this is the core concepts behind a mortgage, right? So the mortgage is a loan to buy real estate, and it's secured by the property. The principal is the amount you borrow. The interest is the cost of borrowing that money. And amortization is the schedule that decides how much of your payment goes to the principal, which is the amount that you borrow that you need to get to zero, versus the interest each month. That's the amortization. Okay? Amortization also determines how fast you build equity or ownership in your home. So that's a mortgage, right? So the classic terms for a mortgage are a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage. So the 15-year mortgage, of course, is going to have higher monthly payments, less interest because it's a shorter time. So you're going to own your home faster but pay bigger amounts towards the principal. You own your house free, clear, and faster. The 30-year mortgage, as you can guess, which is the U.S. current standard of mortgage, has lower payments than the 15-year mortgage, but more total interest. So as you can see, the higher number of years that you have your mortgage, the more interest you will pay. You're going to build slower equity when you have a 30-year mortgage unless you pay more on the principal. But realistically, you're going to be working a lifetime to pay even a 30-year mortgage. Quick example. So you have the same house, same price, and the same interest rate. If you stretch it longer, you pay less per month, but more overall on the 30-year mortgage. And that's the trade-off, that you're paying more overall. So our dumbass government, yes, I did call them dumb. Dumb as fuck. Okay, don't argue with me. Argue with your mama. Okay? So they created the 50-year mortgage. I've been like, what? 50-year mortgage? It sounds insane. Because even if you get this mortgage as 20 years old, you won't be done until you're 70 years old unless you pay higher than the principal. Dumb as hell. Right? They trying to trap us. Basically. So number one, what is being proposed with this 50-year mortgage? The U.S. government is considering backing 50-year mortgages through federal housing agencies as a solution to high home prices and rates. So because they have increased the rates of housing, they just said, okay, well, we'll break up the payments over 50 years. How dumb does that sound? Other countries like the UK and parts of Europe have floated or used ultra-long mortgages, even generational loans that can be passed to children. Well, please don't pass me no damn debt. I got debt of my own. Keep your debt to yourself. Don't go out here getting 50-year mortgages and passing it to your children. But they do this, they say, in parts of Europe and the UK. You can have generational loans. This sounds like generational debt. You know how we talk about generational curses? This 50-year mortgage sounds like a generational curse waiting to happen. Now you passing on debt from mortgage from generation to generation. So when your child who coming from the hood trying to thrive, you leave them with a mortgage. They don't even have a chance to pick their own house or what? They already got a mortgage. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make no sense, y'all. I gotta take a sip of my apple cider on that, cause no. Did I hear that right? Like, what? No. What is one thing that this mortgage will help people with, right? It will lower the monthly payment, but you still paying more interest. So this is an analysis of what the difference will be. Let's go over the analysis. So on a median U.S. home, around $415,000, which is already outrageous, $500,000 is the median, with 10% down at 6.2% interest. For a 30-year payment, that would be about $228,000 a month. I meant $100. $2,288 a month, right? If it was 50 years, it would be $2,022 a month. That's only a difference of $266 with the 50-year versus the 30-year. That's crazy. So you're really not cutting your payments in half. They're just shaving off a couple $100 and asking for 20 more years of your life. This is bananas, guys. So what are the downsides of doing this? What is the downsides of you taking this big, shitty mortgage? Number one is massive extra interest. So a Washington Post breaks down a $500,000 loan at 6.1%. For 30 years, that loan will be $590,000 in interest. That is psycho. For a 50-year mortgage, if you have a $500,000 loan, you will pay $1.1 million in interest. This means that if you were to do a 50-year loan for a $500,000 house, you would end up paying $1.6 million, with $1.1 million of that being interest. So the 50-year mortgage, bad idea. You're paying twice the purchase price over time. This is not a house. This is a multi-million-dollar late fee. This is a bad idea, basically. Number two, slower equity. So you basically become a permanent renter with a deed. We're not trying to do that. So it sounds like a good idea. Ooh, 50 years? No, don't do it. You a permanent renter with a deed. After 10 years for a 30-year mortgage, you might have about 16% equity, which means you own about 16% of the house after 10 years with a 30-year mortgage. If you had a 50-year mortgage, after 10 years, you will own only 4% equity. That's a bad idea. And I hope this is making sense, because normally I should have some slides or something to help illustrate it, but you know, we work with what we got, guys. So what does this mean? It means that you owe almost everything you started with after 10 years if you do a 50-year mortgage. If the prices dip and you need to sell, you could be underwater and paying millions of dollars on a house that's only worth $300K. It's dumb as hell. So on a 50-year mortgage, the bank owns the house, but you just slowly rent from them for 50 years. And hopefully you got good health for 50 years. Otherwise, you're passing this debt on to your kids. Number three, the reason why this is a bad idea is because the debt outlives you. I just said this. The debt is going to outlive you unless you're working out, doing everything right to make sure you're able to pay this rent, basically. So the average U.S. home buyer is around 40 years old. And our life expectancy is around 79 years old, plus or minus. If you do a 50-year mortgage that starts at 40, that means you will end this mortgage at 90 years old. So many people won't even live to pay it off. You're going to live your whole life stressed the hell out. This sets up the elderly people still with big house debt. Bad idea. It's going to be more pressure for people to keep working even as they get older, when they should be resting, relaxing, chilling out, not stressing about a damn mortgage. The children will be inheriting debt instead of a clear title if they make this generational. A bad idea. And number four, this 50-year mortgage doesn't fix the real problem. Not at all. Housing experts say the main issue is shortage of affordable homes. Alright? A high interest rate, not the length of the mortgage. It's a shortage because they stealing all the land, stealing all the properties, and reselling it to millionaires. Extending the terms may even push higher prices by letting people bid while supply stays tight. So this is just a bad idea, guys. It's like giving a longer straw instead of more water. You still get thirsty, you just sip debt longer. That's what it's like. Instead of them giving you water, they just say, "He got a longer straw." It's like, no, bitch, I need water. Like, what? Alright, so a warning from Japan and others. Japan experimented with 50 and even 100-year loans during its property bubble. When the bubble burst, households were left with crushing debt and stagnant property values for decades. Bad idea. So we have receipts from other countries. Longer mortgages did not save those other countries when they tried it. Taking notes from Japan. It just stretched the pain generation after generation. So who would actually benefit from us having 50-year mortgages? The only people who would benefit from this is the banks and investors, because they have longer streams of interest payment. They have higher total profit per loan. And then the government is also going to win. How? Look, lower payments, they say. When in actuality, they just creating an explosive. You know, they're not confronting construction, zoning, redlining, none of the things in history, you know, the doctrine of discovery, the land that they're not addressing none of that. Their thing is, oh no, let's just make the people rent more until they just old and gray. So who really wins if you pay almost double in interest, but just to save $250 a month? The bank. That's who wins, guys. The bank. Okay? So if a 50-year mortgage shows up in your site, what can you do? Compare the numbers. Always compare the 30-year versus the 50-year. What are the cost difference per month? And ask yourself, is what you're saving per month worth 20 more years of debt? I'm going to tell you, it's going to be absolutely hell to the no. Okay? No. Look for other levers before adding years. Adjust the home price, get a smaller home, increase the down payment, improve your credit score, consider sharing housing, house hacking. It's a lot of things you can do before you sit here and commit your whole life to paying rent to the government. Alright? And then ask yourself, is this helping me to own or owe more with whatever deal that you're working out? If the structure of the mortgage that you're going to get is only going to give you 4% equity after 10 years, that's a bad idea. And it's very dangerous. Alright? So what do we want, guys? We want clear paths to ownership. Land ownership with fair, transparent terms. We need community land trusts, co-ops, and other. And then we left off talking about the 50-year mortgage. So Sarah Rector's family tried to sell her land because the taxes felt like a burden back then. And we know that the courts told them no, and that no that the court told them turned into millions for her family. Okay, but today we're being told yes to 50-year mortgages. Why? Because this is going to secretly hurt our community if we don't have the education about this type of extended contract. There's no way I want to be locked into a contract for something like this for 50 years. As a dentist, I couldn't even take being locked into a work contract for a year. That's the one thing that pushed me to being an owner, is because every job or every time I got a position as a associate dentist, I had to sign a year contract, and I hated tying myself to a company for a year, because if something go bad, you are stuck there for a year. And I realized then, after a couple times, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not committing my life even for a year. So take it from me. Even if you're getting paid good, it doesn't feel good to be contracted to nobody for no amount of time of your life, to the point where you can't say, hey, you know what? I don't like this. I'm out. You can't do that when you're signing up for 50 freaking years. No way in hell. No, even if you was 2 years old, you're going to be 52 by the time you're done paying for them. No. 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 Hell no. Okay. So, do we understand this contract this time? Hopefully, we learn a little bit, just a little bit of financial literacy in this. But financial literacy for us in our community in the hood is not a hobby, it is self defense. Hear me good now. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. So, financial literacy in our community is not a hobby. It is self-defense. Literally, it's self-defense. Okay? It's land defense. It's making sure our children never inherit deeds. Making sure our children inherit deeds and not just debt or stories about, oh, well, I bought this house 50 years ago. No, we don't want to pass that on. Okay? So you guys can put your questions in the chat. I'm pretty much done rambling about, this topic. I just wanted to touch on it a little bit. And just come on and chill with the tribe for a second. Thank you guys for sharing on TikTok. User with a whole bunch of numbers shared. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the live. Thank you for sending the roses, sharing the live, and following. I appreciate it. I'm going to be on here for a little while longer. But yeah, guys, I had to show up today because, consistency is not easy. It's definitely not easy, but you just gotta do it, man. That's my thing. You just gotta do it. Like Nike, you just gotta go. Alright? You can sit and complain all day, or you can just show up your way. And I just had a crazy, crazy day. Crazy, crazy day. Crazy, crazy day. What's up, guys? How you feeling? How you feeling? Let me know where you watching from. Come in the room, tap those hearts, grab your daily heart me. Let me know how you doing. How you doing? Oh. Somebody say that the term African American is on this lifeline, boy. It's amazing when you realize who you really are. So much melts away from your brain. It's like you have your life again. Let's pull up an image of Sarah Rector. So this is Sarah Rector. I'm gonna show y'all on TikTok. This is who we was talking about earlier today. She was known as the richest Muskogee Creek Indian. She was 11 years old when she inherited a plot of land that made her a multimillionaire. So let's take a picture. Not a picture, but let me show y'all. There goes Sarah Rector. Yes. Muskogee Creek Indian. Rich off of oil. Don't play with Sarah. Don't play with Sarah. What? Don't play with her. Don't play with my ancestors. But yeah, she was just so amazing, y'all. So amazing. The bad part about when I went to see her movie is that it was no one in there. Just two people. No one in there. I'm like, dang, you would think that it would be more of us in there supporting it, but I don't think we even know that this movie is at the theater. You know? So if I can encourage just one person to go and see it, I feel like I've done my job. Seriously. Alright. So we got a couple more minutes on here. Drop those questions in the chat. I hope y'all brush and floss your teeth today. Hope you brush and floss those teeth. Ooh. I'm chilling and I show up. I'm losing my connection. Losing my connection. Yeah. Losing my connection. What up? What up? Alright guys, so we're getting into the end of our podcast. The conversation is dying down for today. We did talk a little bit about financial literacy, the 50-year mortgage, and why this is a bad idea in my opinion, okay? Of course you're going to go and do what you want to do, but don't say that you haven't been warned, alright? You don't need a 50-year mortgage. What you need is some financial planning, and you need to calculate if this is going to even make any sense. And automatically 50 years just makes sense in nothing. Never sign a contract at 50 years. That's just too damn long, okay? Like I said, a year contract for me is too long. It's like, no thanks. I'll pass, okay? I'm just so proud that I did not quit this challenge. Before I get off of here, I'm interested to sit. I can't even talk. I'm interested to see how many days it's been. So let's calculate so we can know. I'm interested to see how long I've been live. It's been over a month for sure. Ooh, it might have been 2 months. September the 29th. Let's calculate. September the 29th. October the 29th. 31. And it's November the 22nd. So that's 22, 23, 24 plus 30. That's 54 days I've been live straight, y'all. 54 days! Yes! Yes! No wonder why I'm feeling the burnout. No wonder why I'm on here talking about consistency is hard. Because I've been live for 54 days straight. My DG, what? Now that's something to be proud of. Like, I feel like this wasn't one of my best lives, honestly, because first of all, I'm on here late as hell, and I'm normally on here at 8 in the morning. But I just didn't want to fail again and have to start over from day one. I'm 54 days in. What? Coming on here inspiring, you know, sending positive vibes every day, trying to take people from a hood mindset to a hooded mindset to the next level. You can't beat that. So yeah, shout out me for 54 days. Hey. Sometimes you gotta pat your own self on the back, okay? Hey. So I don't need to stay on here all night because the chat kind of dry right now. But I'll be back tomorrow on day 55. We almost to the big 6-0. The big 6-0. Hey. It's always so hard to like start your live and then you're like, dang, it's been an hour already. Yep, it's been an hour, my guys. I gotta get out of here. So I will see you guys tomorrow. This is Dr. Cheetah's Sunflower with the Hood to the Podcast. I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful remainder of your night. It's pretty much late as hell here, 12:30. So yeah, I'm out of here. Bye.